Welcome to the Terrible Podcast with your hosts from SteelersDepot.com, where you can find all your latest and greatest Steelers news. It's Dave Bryan and Alex Kozora, always lit, talking Steelers.
And now, here's Dave and Alex.
Welcome to the Terrible Podcast, another special edition of the Terrible Podcast, Pittsburgh Steelers Training Camp 2025. I am Dave Bryan from SteelersDepot.com. It is Sunday, August the 3rd. We are 5 weeks away from the Pittsburgh Steelers playing the New York Jets on the road in week 1 of the 2025 season. But in the meantime, training camp still going on for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And with me once again at 7:50 Eastern Time tonight, fresh off of yet another trip out to Saint Vincent College in Latrobe, Alex Kozora, who's waited in a lot of lines so far this summer. Alex, you need a fast pass. Is that something Touring Plans can hook you up with?
It's a good segue into our sponsor, Touring Plans. Yeah, the lines have been insane. Hopefully we'll die down this upcoming week with the weekdays and everything, but could certainly use a fast pass, Dave.
Yeah, it seemed like the weather was crystal clear out there today. Seemed like a nice day to be out there at Saint Vincent College. And before we get started, we do have to shout out Lynn Testa's company, Touring Plans, touringplans.com, talking about fast passes and getting you set up and not having to wait in long lines. If you go to touringplans.com, I bet Lynn Testa's folks there can help you with a lot of that. Anything Disney related, whether you're going to either one of the parks or I guess Epcot or, they got so much stuff out at Disney now. I don't even know what's all considered Disney out there, but most of you listening probably do. There's also Disney cruises that you can book and all like that. So before you make your next Disney related trip, make sure you go to touringplans.com, check out how they can help you with anything related to getting your plans solidified and saving you time and money in the process there. So they have been a long-time sponsor of the Terrible Podcast, the special edition episodes during training camp, and they are back with us once again. So we hope that you will support them. Alex, anything to add to that?
No, well said. Check out the site, touringplans.com, and tell them Steelers Depot sent you, Dave. Should we get to the housekeeping of the day?
Yeah, let's do it. We got some people, got a long list to cover, whether or not people coming back or people still off the field, and unfortunately got a new injury to talk about today.
That is Alex Highsmith, according to Mike Tomlin, a groin injury. He had the groin injury last summer, which lingered into the regular season, so hopefully not a part 2 of that, but that was in the O-line, D-line, towards the end of practice, really the last half hour of practice. I guess Highsmith went down, so we'll check out that status for Tuesday whenever the team returns. They are off on Monday. Players returning, get a bunch of guys off yesterday, a lot of guys coming back, some rest, some injured. I'll read off the names here: Aaron Rodgers, Jonnu Smith, DK Metcalf, Ryan McCollum, Patrick Queen, Deshaun Elliott, Keanu Benton, and DJ Thomas Jones, all returning and working in full today. McCollum and Benton and Thomas Jones were coming off injuries. Thomas Jones carted off several days ago, thought it might be serious, so really good to get him back out on the field. TJ Watt, Kim Hayward dressed, but they did not work in team. That's just veteran maintenance and giving young guys reps there. Broderick Jones, Isaac Seumalo, full participants throughout practice, and so that's good for the starting 5 to work together. There may have been a couple of reps that they sat out, Seumalo in particular, but they basically worked in full. Not practicing on Sunday, left tackle Gareth Warren, tight end Pat Frymuth, Calvin Austin, Corey Trice Jr., Dante Kent, Joey Porter Jr., Calvin Anderson, and Asezi Otomewa. Warren had a sleeve on his left leg in the gray t-shirt I spotted him in. Frymuth just looked like day off. Austin's got to be dealing with something, hopefully minor. Saw Trice standing out there. Kent has a boot on his right foot, and so that doesn't always mean something super serious, but not a great sign. Obviously, Porter looks close to a return. He got more spirited work in today, as did Otomewa. He had a helmet on, was working on the side, so that's good news. Hopefully gets back for Tuesday. Not sure about Calvin Anderson, but Tomlin indicated think after Friday, it might be a little more than day to day. So that's the lay of the land right now.
All right, good update there overall, or thorough update. I shouldn't say good because anytime you're talking about injured players, that's not good. But it is the dog days of summer. We're right past the halfway point of training camp at this point. Wasn't it about?
Can I also just note
Go
really
ahead.
quickly too that Dean Lowry? And this is only stuff Dave and I care about, but right knee looks like right knee injury for Dean Lowry.
All right, and he is on IR right now as that transaction got posted the other day there. Wasn't it about almost a year ago to the day that Alex Highsmith had to leave or had a groin issue during training camp?
It feels about that. I can try to look it up here if I can do it really quickly,
All
but
right.
yeah, it was last summer. He missed some time and came back and finished it out, but then he kind of re-aggravated that groin injury. I think it was the Chargers game, whatever that was, week 2 or
He
week
missed 3
3.
games. He missed 3 games with that groin injury last year, and then another 3, I think, later, 2 or 3 later in the season with an ankle or whatnot. And then if you go back to, I think it was 2021, he missed a game sort of near, I think, the beginning of the season with a groin injury. So this has become with him the summer groin issue with him. So I would imagine, and well, obviously we hope it's not serious or torn or nothing where he needs surgery or whatnot, but I would imagine they're going to take it pretty easy on him, at least for the short-term outlook here, and probably not going to see. Well, I mean, things can obviously change depending on the severity of this, but we're obviously probably not going to see him much during the preseason, if any, here. So it is kind of curious that when we're talking, I don't think this is the first time we've talked about Alex Highsmith and groin, even going back to last year during training camp or the preseason or something like that. So there's something maybe to this with him about ramping things up.
August 6th was the groin injury in
Ah,
2024. So just about 1 year ago, he missed about a week and then came back. Should note Broderick Jones had a groin injury and only missed a short amount of time, but I imagine they're going to be pretty cautious with Alex
yeah.
Highsmith.
Yeah, I guess that's what I'm getting at. I would imagine they're going to be pretty cautious here. Now they do have a day off on Monday, and they'll get back at it on Tuesday. And then of course they got 3 practices. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then probably a walkthrough on Friday, or no, they're probably traveling, I guess, on Friday, and then a game on Saturday, a first preseason game on Saturday. So be curious to see if Alex Highsmith is able to get back out there and do much of anything this next week. All right. Yeah, not great news about a young guy in Dante Kent out there in a boot right now. So you kind of wonder how much longer that's going to take. And yeah, those young guys can't afford to miss practices if they're going to hope to make this team and contribute. So that's also something to watch there. All right. Anything else? No transactions today on the NFL sheet to talk about here. So I guess we can just dive right into it, right? And start with, I guess, the offensive line group. And as you mentioned at the top there, Broderick Jones and Isaac Seumalo, basically full participants throughout the practice. And I guess technically that's the first time that's happened this summer.
Well, yesterday, say Molly was in the 7 shots period, so that was the first time the whole 5 played together, but this is the first time they basically work start to finish for an entire practice. So team and pads today was a pretty physical, intense type of day, a lot of live tackling sessions, goal line to end things, and those guys worked and, essentially full participation. So that was good. Broderick Jones, a nice day, at least in the one-on-one, which is my best chance to really zero in on a performance and evaluate that. Had good wins against Alex Highsmith for the 1 rush, although maybe that was Highsmith hurting his groin on the play, tweaking himself, but then had a couple of wins against Nick Herbig. Herbig trying to win the edge. I think Herbig might have dipped him late once, but I'll still give the win to Jones there. So nice to hear some positive things about Broderick Jones, given the injury and kind of the tough start. They had a lot of negativity, a lot of freaking out on Twitter.
All right. Let's see. Left to right, second team line. Cook at left tackle with Calvin Anderson out.
Yeah, so there's still some mixing and matching that goes on here, but in warm-ups, here was the second team offensive line. Cook, Spencer Anderson, Ryan McCollum, Max Sharping, and Steven Jones. I can try to look at other combinations.
Yeah.
This kind of gets third team, but Cook, Nestor, Broker, Williams, Jones, that's more reflective probably of the third team. They just don't have many tackles. I didn't see Spencer Anderson get a single snap at left tackle and was trying to look for it today. So,
Okay.
Jones being full maybe was one reason why, but if Anderson has gotten reps at left tackle, like he apparently did yesterday, it's been very few and far between.
I wonder if Anderson remains sidelined, and we'll have to see what's going on with Gareth Warren. I wonder if Anderson gets some snaps at a tackle spot at some point in this first preseason game. That'll be something to maybe look forward to the closer we get to game time there. Anything else, and maybe on some one-on-ones with the offensive lineman?
Yeah, I think Nick Broker struggled. He looks smaller than listed. He listed, 6'4", 310 or so. Just looks smaller than that. And he's taken his lumps. He's had a tough camp, and the reps have been a little inconsistent, even with some of the offensive line injuries, primarily working at center. And they've gotten sharping some time there. McCollum came back today. So it's limited some of the work for Nick Broker. Aiden Williams had a tough rep against Braden Fajoko. He's not small, but he looks a little bit lighter, skinnier, and kind of being that D2 offensive lineman. Those guys aren't always the heaviest types. I don't know exactly what his weight is at, but he's not the heaviest and stoutest dude out there. It's more on the same on Stephen Jones. Good versus power. Speed will give him some issues. I thought Dylan Cook had some really good battles with the Marvin Leal. They both won some reps today.
What about Doug Nestor? What's something that sticks out about Doug Nestor now that you've watched several practices?
He's well built. He's strong. It's kind of classic West Virginia type there with him. So still want to watch him. Still tough to see it in team periods. An interior offensive lineman trying to evaluate that from my angle can be tough to do. But I think an individual, I think he's held his own. He's had some fun reps with Y.A. Black, his typical partner in those sessions. I don't know if Nestor went in the O-line, D-line today. I don't know if I have that written down. No, I do have that. A couple of reps against Logan Lee, and they kind of traded wins there. But there's some size, some strength with Doug Nestor. He's played left guard and right guard as well throughout training camp.
All right, so we should expect to continue to see him. There was some wondering whether or not he'd get some tackle reps before we got this thing started this summer, but he has been primarily a guard, so we expect to see that during the preseason there. All right, anything else about the offensive line you want to share on this Sunday?
No, that should cover it.
All right. Tight ends. It sounds like Darnell Washington, at least when it comes to offensive players, has been the player that has started off with a decent camp and has kind of gradually made progress throughout this thing. In other words, kind of stacking days, so to speak. That's the impression I get from the outside. Is that true or false?
I would say that's true. I think he certainly ramped up, maybe a quiet first couple of days, that acclimation 4-day period, but I think he's made a lot of plays in the past game, really since the pads came on Wednesday throughout those last couple of sessions. And today, really fun rep in goal line, 0-4 personnel, so 4 tight ends on the field. Kenneth Gainwell was the other. I guess I should have said 14 personnel, but it was a 4 tight end look, and got all those guys out there. It was him, Galbraith, Hayward, and Jonnu Smith, and they throw a jump ball, Rogers to Washington left side, and these guys over Killebrew to haul it in. So a lot of fun there. You come out, goal line package, 4 tight ends. Oh man, they're going to go heavy. They're going to pound the rock. No, you spread things out. That's, I think, what Pittsburgh is building towards, that versatility of having those tight ends that are capable receivers. Jonnu Smith, Pat Fryermuth, Darnell Washington, whose hands are really good. I think it's been some chatter yesterday about it. His blocking, his size gets all the attention, but this guy has a solid pair of mitts. Everything's a hands catch. Nothing's double caught. It's really reliable overall. He makes catches in tough combat situations. So, yeah, I mean, I think he's had some nice days. He had a 26-yard catch on a 7 route. There's some good bursts at the top of his stem. I think working on maybe Holcomb today. So he's had some really impressive reps lately.
All right, and we ought to see quite a bit, assuming he stays healthy, of J.J. Galbraith during that first preseason game as well, too.
Yeah, I want to see his blocking. I haven't gotten to really judge that super well. He's gotten a little bit of fullback work throughout training camp, but I want to see him as an inline blocker. The size is going to be an issue, but athleticism, his hands are also very good.
All right, I guess, did they do one-on-one work with the running backs today?
In a coverage drill?
Either coverage or blocking or anything like that?
No, the tight ends were working and run blocking today. The running backs and linebackers, there weren't any one-on-one coverage drills, and I didn't watch 7-on-7 because I was watching the O-line, D-line, so nothing of that kind of sort today.
All right, so I would imagine your notes are pretty thin as far as the running back position as a whole today.
Well, when they're in pads, I think there's still stuff to evaluate there. I thought Evan Hull had a couple of tough runs. Trey Sermon runs tough. He churns his legs. Jalen Warren had a couple of okay runs today, so something there with him. And then Kenneth Gainwell showing that versatility. They ran an open fake bootleg to the right. Gainwell made the catch, was wide open, jetted downfield for a 20-yard gain. So, again, just kind of seeing that versatility, the receiving chops consistently on display for, as Arthur Smith says, Kenny G.
All right. Exchange issue between or handoff issue between Nichols and Will Howard.
There was. It was a handoff stretch run to the right. I don't know exactly who I would blame there. It happened too fast. I was watching it through the binoculars, but there was a botch there. Nichols fell back on the football. I've seen some issues with Howard on handoffs, and yesterday with Frazier on an under center exchange. I know those guys, have done that a ton in their college careers. Howard probably more than others because Ohio State was a little more under center. They did some of that stuff and a little more pro-style coaching, but certainly one thing to work on for Howard, and it's typical for a rookie, is just getting away from center clean handoffs. It was good throughout the start of training camp. As you kind of get worn down, as the days start getting long, seeing some issues pop up there.
All right, wide receiver, no Calvin Austin today. I think we know all we need to know about DK Metcalf. He got loose on one play today, I guess, with Aaron Rodgers. Was that a coverage bust on that with DK Metcalf on that long one?
He was pretty open, so I would assume so. I assume the goal wasn't to leave him that open, but I don't know exactly what happened because I didn't get to really watch the coverage, breakdown, literally, I suppose, and figuratively. But yeah, wide open for a 40-yard touchdown from Aaron Rodgers.
All right, Bob Labriola, I think, said in his recap that Scotty Miller had a nice day today, and you noted in your notes, too, that Ben Skoronek's getting a lot of work, and especially ahead of a guy like Robert Woods.
Yeah, with Calvin Austin missing these last 2 days, Skoronek's kind of felt like that third receiver in. It's been DK, Metcalf, and Roman Wilson, your top two, and then Skowronek, number 3. So we talked yesterday about it. Felt like he was ahead of Robert Woods and Scotty Miller. That probably continues to be true today. Skowronek's play and productivity been there. Hasn't gotten a lot of targets overall, but it's been fine. Scotty Miller, trying to think, did Labriola mention any play in particular? There was a play in that competition period where he ran a post and beat Chuck Clark and showed his speed. And
I think that was it.
Okay, yeah, it was a 2-on-2. They're kind of working on passing off routes and route combinations and defensive coverages and pairings, but that was a good rep there for Scotty Miller. Granted, it was open field. His speed's going to win. It's an environment favorable to him, but yeah, Miller's speed is legit. I mean, it might sound like a stretch, and I'd love to see a race, but if you raced Calvin Austin and DK Metcalf and Scotty Miller might win that race, Dave.
Wow. Okay. All right. Anything else with the wide receiver group? What kind of day did Roman Wilson have?
Probably pretty quiet. Did he catch any passes today? No, Elliott broke up one pass in that competition period. And do I have anything else here? No, that was it. I don't think he had a target today. So there's still been, he's made a play or two in some of the one-on-one sessions and got a little more active in the team period throughout the week, but it has still been pretty quiet overall for Roman Wilson.
All right. How about the quarterback position today? Aaron Rodgers back after having a vet day.
Yeah, he had a pass batted down, and thank goodness we could have been talking about a headline disaster story. There was a play where Y.A. Black batted down kind of a scramble drill type moment from Rodgers, and Black fell down and almost rolled into Aaron Rodgers, and that was like, whoa, big man rolling into to Rodgers, but everyone was okay. Rodgers got away from it. Howard had a tougher day, mentioned the exchange issues and the handoff issues, and through his first interception, I'm pretty sure, of team period in training camp. Boot right, first option, DJ Thomas Jones sitting down underneath, not there, tries to find the second level crosser, forced to throw. It was a nice pick by Sebastian Castro, and he returned it. So it's going to ebb and flow. Rookies are going to have rookie days sometimes, but I think probably not Howard's best day, probably one of his worst days of training camp.
All right, it's not often we talk about very lopsided 7 shots periods either way when it comes to this team. But today I think we had a 6-1 in favor of the defense. Do you remember the last time there was like a 6-1 or a 7-0 or anything like that? And can you walk us through the 7 shots period today?
Can't remember specifically. It probably happens once, twice a camp where one side will dominate, where it's not 4-3 or 5-2 and it's 6-1 or 7-0. 7-0 is probably really rare, but 6-1 I'm sure has happened before. Now you give me something to research, and I got to go look it up here later today, Dave. But 7 shots. I figured
you'd have that right off the top of your head.
I disappoint. I'm sorry. 7 shots here. First play, Aaron Rodgers, nothing really there. Play action to Warren, rolls right, throws the ball short. Near Jonnu Smith, Jalen Ramsey had good coverage, but really not any chance there for Smith to make the play, probably intentionally kind of laid up short there. Next play, Rodgers wants Skowronek, who was lined slot left on an out route, but that was incomplete too. Slay covering, Third play was Rodgers looking around, really nothing there, some pressure, just basically threw the ball out of the end zone. Fourth play, Trey Sermon, toss right, cuts it back left. Pierre, Leal, others, really hard collision right in front of the goal line. Ref said he was short. Fifth play was Rudolph on a slant. It got tipped. I don't know who tipped it. It was for Jonnu Smith, but incomplete. Next play was the offense's only touchdown on play number 6, Evan Hull with a good leg drive ahead for the score. And then the seventh play was Will Howard looking for Rock Taylor. This one, I don't know if Howard threw a bad ball or Taylor ran a bad route, but it really wasn't close. Cameron McCutcheon on the coverage. So that gets your defense winning big, 6-1. Quarterbacks went 0 for 5 on their attempts.
DK Metcalf was on the NFL Network earlier today because they're in town. Steve Smith Sr. and Ian Rappaport and I think one or two others maybe. But he said that I think they're the best defense I've ever seen. How much hyperbole is in there?
There's probably some black and gold color glasses there whenever you're getting to see it and not thinking about, oh, how are the Broncos defense? How are they looking right now? I'm sure that's not top of mind for DK Metcalf, but it's been a really good group, and I can certainly understand that impression from Metcalf given the way the defense has consistently won throughout training camp, and you probably sit there and say they won today as well. So you get to see that talent, especially at corner when Metcalf is facing Porter and Slay and Ramsey, and that type of depth of cornerback is probably pretty rare for NFL teams to have, and I'm sure Metcalf hasn't seen it to that degree before. So is it a little hyperbolic? Probably, but it's not that unfounded. I certainly understand why Metcalf is saying that.
All right, let's flip over to the defensive line group here. And Cam Hayward, light day, as you mentioned there. Keanu Benton's back in taking part of things. What has stuck out about Keanu Benton today? And even though we've been classifying him a little bit as mostly as an outside linebacker and all, you've I think the last couple of practices have been noting about DeMarvin Leal and how athletic he is. He's not going away quietly, is he?
He's not. Can I make just one last quick point about quarterback? And this is in my notes, and I really didn't make the connection until I was writing my notes again. I mentioned that play earlier, the open hand, really kind of roll out from Rudolph to Gainwell. That was the fourth rep of the team period, and typically Aaron Rodgers gets the first 4, and then Rudolph comes in for the 5th. So I think they kind of knew, well, let's not have Aaron Rodgers try to run the way that this play is going to demand it. Put Rudolph in, who's not exactly Usain Bolt either, but a little more athletic, a little younger legs there. So kind of an interesting moment in time, just as the team judges Rodgers' athleticism. He's moved around fine. I think he intentionally tries to scramble sometimes to either work the scramble drill or kind of just test his own body a little bit. But that's just one quick note there. Yeah, defensive line today with Benton. I always say I'm bad at it, and I am in terms of how guys look and if they've added weight or dropped weight, but he certainly does look bigger, and I think he has talked about adding some weight this offseason, just looks a more massive guy in his legs and just lower half in general. So that's kind of one impression. The quality of play, it's been fine, still loves that club over, still trying to, he needs that second move. I don't know if he's working at it or what kind of the plan is there, but you got to have that second move. That's kind of still my takeaway on Keanu Benton, but glad he's healthy out there working fully today.
All right, and Leal.
Yeah, Leal has had a nice camp, and I don't want to sound like a broken record because I've talked about him before. The awkward fit, is he edge, is he defensive line, but just in a vacuum, it's been a good camp. I think his size at edge gives tight ends problems. That's probably why he's playing a lot of edge for that kind of size mismatch there. His hustle, his chase of the football is good. He's had some good reps today in a live tackling session, shed a block, and really just WWE almost slammed down Caleb Johnson. He's just being active overall, getting hands up and throwing lanes. It's just some of the athleticism. People I think kind of made fun of me a little bit, and that's fair about calling him the super athlete early in camp. But you just watch some of the things he does, not even always directly football related, but just kind of the stuff he does on the side. Like there was one in team period after he made a tackle. You know what a kip up is, where the thing where you kind of like are on your back and you kind of just jump up off your back. Like
okay.
he can do that whenever he goes down. And the coaches probably actually don't like this, but whenever he goes down the stairs to go on the field before practice or heading to practice, he slides down the railings. This 300-pound man just sliding down a railing like that. I don't know, just stuff like that. You just watch him, the way he moves, the way that he jumps, and the way that he hustles is all kind of interesting. I think his rush plan has been more refined this year. All of that to say, will he make the team? Still a tough path, but I don't want to count this guy out. If you're keeping the best 53, there's probably going to be a case to be made that DeMarvin Leal will be one of the best 53 when cutdowns occur in late August.
What is he though, and how is his what is his best usage? Sub package as a rusher?
That's a good question, and that's the hard part of it all. He's an outside linebacker. He's playing on his feet. That's been what he's done for all but a little bit when the Lions got then a defensive line, and he played a little bit of three-tech a couple practices ago. But he's going to be on special teams. He can run down kicks. He can do something on punts. I don't know if he'll get a chance there, but maybe. But he's just he's athletic, and he's looking more like a football player than he has in the past. So we'll see.
All right, Logan Lee and Yaya Black are both in still. Quale still over the nose mostly. Dominic Davis, I would imagine, like the third team nose still at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And Loudermilk also an end.
Right, yeah. Lee an end. Quale, Davis are your backup nose tackles. Who else did you mention there? Mentioned Lee, Loudermilk at defensive end, so that's kind of where they're running. Lee's had some good practices. Loudermilk's been fine. It's been nondescript, but I kind of know what you're getting with Loudermilk at this point. Just one other, but Harmon, I should note, has had some good rushes. He's had good battles with McCormick. He's shown power. He's always stringing a move together. First move fails, he's got that second move at the ready. Bull to rip or swim or spin. He's always kind of stacking some moves there. I know he's talked about wanting to win on that initial move more often and more frequently, because in the NFL, that second move, if you have to go to it, the ball's sometimes out by the time that second move gets pulled off, especially when you're facing Aaron Rodgers with the ball's coming out in 2.6 seconds. So, but I like the overall body of work there from Harmon, who's another big guy who just looks bigger in person than maybe what you saw on his college tape. The new guy, Kyler Baugh, is interesting. He's a practice squad at best, obviously, but he's got some energy, some good rushes out there. So I don't know. Baugh's caught my attention a couple times.
All right, Harmon seem still destined to be a week one starter up front, especially in base.
Oh yeah, no question. And you can write that in pen. And barring injury, knock on wood, obviously, there's something crazy happening. He's going to start at left defensive end. He won't start nickel, but he's going to rotate in nickel and get a lot of playing time. They're not going to hold this guy back. They're not going to give him the rookie reps and sit and learn and watch. No, he's going to play, and he's going to play a lot out of the gate.
All right, outside linebacker. Nice day for Jack Sawyer.
Yeah, I think there were some good reps. He was very active in the run period and run defense, one of his calling cards, not just one of those athletic college rush backers who can speed rush 20 times but can't do anything else. He's a pretty well-rounded guy. Sawyer is. He didn't have a ton of wins in the O-line, D-line, but he's able to win inside, and a lot of guys want to rush to the outside, and Sawyer can do that and has done that, but he's able to win inside too and be able to counter inside and rip through guys. He's going to get some pressure, I think, that way throughout the preseason. So there was some tough matchups against Stephen Jones, but I thought overall, just like the body of work there for Jack Sawyer, and Nick Herbig active in run session as well. So maybe Herbig didn't have his wins against Broderick Jones in the one-on-one, but he was good in team run defense.
All right, I would imagine we'll see some of Nick Herbig, I would imagine, early in a preseason game, because they're probably not going to throw Watt out there. We'll see what happens with Highsmith with his groin the next couple of days. Sawyer, I believe, is still primarily left outside linebacker. Let's suppose that it's Sawyer and Herbig that starts the game at outside linebackers. Who's going to come in? And I would imagine Sawyer's going to get more run than Herbig. Who's going to come in for Herbig after he exits the first preseason game at right?
Probably Leal, because Leal and Sawyer have been a pairing quite a bit throughout training camp. So, yeah, Sawyer's going to get a lot of burn. He has played a little bit of right outside linebacker, so those guys are flipping a little bit, but primarily, you're right, as he was in college at Ohio State, a left outside guy. So it'd be Herbig and Sawyer, and then I imagine Leal will jump in, and then after, you're going to see a lot of those guys throughout the game, but then to sub in and to spell, it'll be Welshoff and Leota will be the next pairing.
All right, those guys are going to get a lot of burn too in that first preseason game. All right, inside linebacker, Mark Robinson continues to, I guess, put together some decent practices here, right?
And put together a new position, playing some fullback today in that goal line drill. He put on a white offensive jersey, number 93, so somebody had that ready-made for him to wear for that final session. By my count, got 2 reps at fullback as a lead blocker. Run game struggled in the goal line period, so I don't know how successful he was, just one component of the play, but interesting to note there. I know Mike Tomlin downplayed it. Kendrick Green played fullback in years past, but the more you can do, the better. Robinson, of course, a running back in college before his senior season, then made the transition to linebacker, but interesting note there on Mark Robinson.
All right, and Bruner running at the tail end of the line still, right? Along with, I guess, Harper, right?
Yeah, it's Harper and Bruner more towards the back end. Those guys, mix and match and rotate a decent amount. Bruner getting some coaching points, some new inside linebackers coach Scott McCurley playing inside out, having better angles. They're working on that during kind of a competition period today. That was the linebacker running back they were working on toss plays, really just working on angles for linebackers on the sideline being able to maintain leverage and keep their cup and play inside out. But yeah, Bruner, special teams will be his path, but Robinson's had a good camp, a little bit of fullback work. We'll see if that sticks and continues, but that's the talk of the day. Mark Robinson playing some fullback.
All right, have you got a little bit better feel of how this team's going to use Malik Harrison?
I think a lot still depends on Peyton Wilson and his progress. I think the intent and goal is for Queen and Wilson to be the every down guys in terms of base and nickel snaps, and if so, then Harrison's a backup and he's going to play on special teams, which he'll do regardless. But that's probably the way this thing is intending to go. If not, then we'll see if Harrison ends up getting that Landon Roberts base role. Queen, I thought, had a nice day today. I haven't talked about him a whole lot. He was back after getting yesterday off, had a good run fill in a live tackling period against Caleb Johnson. So, not a ton of notes on Queen. Communication seems good, but it's hard to really know for sure and won't be tested until, of course, you're in a road environment and really the home environment for how loud it gets for the opposing offense works for the defense as well. But all that to say, I thought Queen had a good day.
All right, defensive backs. This team was down Kent. They were down, obviously, Joey Porter Jr. They were down, James Pierre?
Trice.
Oh, Trice.
Pierre practice.
Pierre practice. Trice was down. That leaves us, I guess, Pierre, Kyler McMichael. Who else within there?
I mean, on the outside,
Cameron
Ramsey and Slay.
McCutcheon.
McCutcheon and McMichael, Pierre, Eccles, and then
Beanie.
Bishop, Jameson in the slot. Yep.
All right. Anything to report? I think, let's talk about all defensive backs combined here. Sound like Sebastian Castro had a decent practice today.
His best day by far, and that was important. He had the interception off of Howard, which was a one-handed snag too. So nice play by Castro just to get the interception in general, but then the actual one-handed snag on it. And then the last play of goal line, last play of practice, Lou Nichols, the reserve running back, bounces the run left. It's him and Castro one-on-one. Nichols tries to stiff arm. Castro knocks it down and tackles Nichols out in space one-on-one. So a couple of good plays there for Castro. Was a popular UDFA. Been quieter. Chuck Clark getting all those reps and kind of filtering, shifting Castro to the back of the pack there. But I thought Castro had a really nice day today. His best day by far.
All right. We haven't talked a lot about Deshaun Jameson so far in camp and Quindell Johnson, who missed a little bit of time there being dinged up. Anything new on those two?
Well, Jameson's just getting extra reps because of the injuries there. So those guys that are benefiting from the injuries ahead of them, I mean, I guess a little less in the slot, but with Kent being out, that's putting Jameson in a third team. But McMichael, who was really getting squeezed too, is also getting more consistent reps right now. So don't have a whole lot of notes on their play. I think Jameson's pretty competitive. McMichael, second year with the team. He got signed mid-camp last year, so maybe just kind of more comfortable, but not a whole lot of notes. And it's obviously going to be a tough path for either guy, but I think especially McMichael. Beanie Bishop had a good, almost tackled Kenneth Gainwell for a loss today. Gainwell escaped, but Bishop held him up long enough for others to join and force the tackle for a loss. So that was good to see Bishop popping up in my notes a little bit more the last 2 days in coverage and today with his run defense.
All right, it'd be interesting to see if this team, because of how many people are banged up right now, if this team works out anybody on Monday to bring an extra body in there.
Yeah, I mean, Porter's going to be back here really soon, but Kent and Trice don't look that way. And of course, Porter's not going to play a lot in the preseason, at least not in the opener. So probably not a bad call on that. Also, I do want to note on Leal at that last play where Castro made that tackle. Leal was slow to get up. He was on a knee for a minute, but it's hard to really know. Was that just he got bumped and he's okay? Or is there something there because practice was over? I saw him walking off a couple minutes later. Maybe a limp. I don't know. It's hard to tell. So I just want to make that. I didn't put it in my report, or maybe I did. I don't remember. But I don't know on Leal. There might have been something there. Could have been minor. Day off tomorrow. Want to just check him though for Tuesday.
One other note, I think I saw on Castro, Upman on punt team.
He was, and just some early warm-ups, so not the full crew, not 11 on 11, but just getting some reps there, which he did earlier in training camp, so it's not brand new, but just kind of reaffirming that today. And so the more hats you can wear as the up man, the quarterback of the punt team, the guys that makes the line calls, identifies the rush, and snaps the football, the more you can do, the better. And so a nice day for Sebastian Castro.
All right, and I imagine the line's a little bit shorter in return lines, right?
Yeah, without Kent and without who else? Calvin Austin, a little bit shorter there. I think I mentioned Quindell Johnson too. Yeah, he's working basically third team with Castro. Had a good open field tackle on Rock Taylor. I think it was Howard, a good ball on a dig to Taylor, and Johnson dropped him. And Taylor held it on the football, but it was a nice open field stop by Johnson. But yeah, with Chuck Clark, I think Chuck Clark's kind of wrecked not any chance, but has certainly damaged the chances for Johnson and Castro to make the 53. Those guys are probably fighting for practice squad.
All right. How would you analyze? I mean, this is the end of a long week here, and that luckily, I should say lucky, but they didn't have a full practice on the first day back, which was what, Tuesday there. But how was? I mean, this is kind of a test what you have at the end of a long week here. How do you think the team looked as a whole, as far as intensity and all, being the last day of a long week of practice?
You're right. It's a good question. It's the longest stretch of training camp. It was 5 straight practices, supposed to be 6, but that Tuesday one essentially just didn't happen. They had to walk through in the gym because of the rain. I thought it was good overall, just kind of big picture. The energy was good. The physicality was good. The defenses tackled really well. There were some exchange and snap issues, like I mentioned earlier, but overall, not a lot of drops, not a lot of mental mistakes that might come with fatigue. Knock on wood, the group is in decent shape health-wise overall. So yeah, just kind of looking big picture, defense still winning over the offense consistently, but I just think the spirit, the competitiveness, the physicality, the detail has been pretty good by and large.
All right, good talk. Anything else you want to add? What's the best thing you saw today?
I should always have these answers prepared because I know you're always going to ask them. Best thing today, just Castro making the play. I think at the goal line session, making that open field stop, always rooting for that unheralded rookie to make his case and make a play. So probably just Castro with the interception and the tackle to end practice.
All right. Let's say you and I will be back after it Monday morning with a regular edition of the Terrible Podcast. And let's see, no training camp practice on Monday. So after the Monday episode in the morning, we will be back Tuesday evening to talk about the first day back at training camp after the day off. And we will have the usual special edition podcast episode later in the evening. So within all that, you can follow me on Twitter /X at Steelers Depot. Follow Alex at Alex_Kozora. Follow the show at Terrible Podcast. Email the show, theterriblepodcast@gmail.com. If you like what we do and want to donate, SteelersDepot.com, hit the donate button. Also, if you like an ad-free version of the site, SteelersDepot.com, hit the ad-free button. Follow the directions that way. And until Monday morning, as always, thanks for listening to the Terrible Podcast, another special edition of the Terrible Podcast, Pittsburgh Steelers Training Camp 2025 with Dave and Alex.